This is One-on-One. There he is, Tim Federle, author of a wonderful book called Better Nate Than Ever. How you doing, Tim?
I'm good, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Who is Nate?
Well, Nate is the 13-year-old protagonist of this new novel for kids. And he's theater obsessed like I was when I was a kid.
Were you?
Yeah.
Growing up where?
Oh, in Pittsburgh. And when you're
Big
theater
theater
obsessed, it is a big theater town. Once people get past the
didn't
sort
mean that
of
as a
layers
joke.
of no, I know it's a huge sports town, but when you get past the stadiums, there are theaters hiding behind the stadiums.
You know there's a huge character on PBS, from the PBS world from Pittsburgh. Who is it?
Mr. Rogers. Yeah,
knew it.
Mr. Rogers.
Ding,
And that's
ding,
it.
ding, ding.
That's a
PBS
wrap.
trivia. That was good.
Yeah,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Rogers is
So good
great.
theater town. Go ahead.
Great theater town, and I was obsessed with theater. I went to a school where if you weren't a sports star, you weren't a star. So I moved to New York to dance on Broadway. So Nate in the book, in Better Nate Than Ever, he runs away from Pittsburgh. He crashes an audition for E.T. the musical, and the book is about his kind of coming of age adventure.
Your background is fascinating, the work that you've done. You don't mind if I name drop?
Please.
You've done some work in connection with Sting.
Sting, yes, there was a Carnegie Hall thing.
Two of our producers, Jacqueline Velez is in love with Sting. She
common
stalked him and
ailment.
took a picture when he was coming out of a Broadway theater. And Mary Ellen Murphy, they're both obsessed with him. And you worked with him.
Yeah, he's the nicest guy, too.
He is.
There's sort of a yoga sheen that happens. He's got like a bubble of yoga around him.
Too bad he's lost his looks, huh?
Yeah, exactly. He's really let himself go, that poor guy.
What'd you do with him? You choreographed?
When you're involved in the theater, you can't get away from it, even though I'm writing now. So I choreographed, he has this great rainforest foundation that he runs with his fabulous wife, Trudy.
Yep.
And so they do a concert, and so they, talk about name dropping. It's Meryl and Elton and...
Look at you.
Oh yeah, so he calls his friends and he says, hey, you want to come to Carnegie Hall and put on a show? And then they needed somebody to choreograph it. So I did like a Singin' in the Rain thing starring Sting, and then James Taylor, I did a little polka with him and Rita Wilson. Not the three of us, that would have been awkward. I set it on them and then they did it.
That's great stuff.
And always, the biggest stars are the nicest, which you really do learn.
We are, aren't we?
Oh yeah, it's
I'm
you,
sorry.
Steve, Sting, all the S names, but
Yes.
they're the nicest because that's sort of what got them so far.
That's good stuff. And the other thing about your background I find fascinating is the Billy Elliot connection.
Yeah.
You worked with the child stars in connection with Billy Elliot.
I did.
Set that up for us, because that's a very powerful. Because I told you, when I saw Billy Elliot the movie the first time. Great stuff. And then
It's
talk
killer,
about the
isn't it?
theater piece of it.
Yeah, so I moved to New York to dance myself, and then
What year?
after 2000,
And how old were you? I mean, you were
I was
pretty young.
19. Yeah.
Did you know this is where it had to be?
Oh yeah.
From
I
Pittsburgh
skipped
directly?
college. Yeah, I got on a bus. I
Get
came to
out of
New
here.
York.
Now you're going to tell a story that sounds
No,
good.
it's
Is it
true.
really true?
It's true. I was a Christina Aguilera backup dancer, not to keep dropping names, but I was a Christina Aguilera backup dancer at the Super Bowl in Atlanta. Couldn't tell you the teams, but it was in Atlanta. And that was sort of when I went, I'm going to skip college and see if I can actually make a go of this. So I got to Billy Elliot after dancing in a bunch of Broadway shows. I never played a man. I was always like a catfish in Little Mermaid. I was like, someday I'll be a human. And then when I was just about to turn 30 a couple years ago, I was on the artistic staff of Billy Elliot, and my job was to work with these very sweet kids, the boys and the girls in the show. And I was part of a team of people that cast them in the show, trained them, and drilled the dances into them. And that's what inspired me to write Better Nate.
Nate in this book, his sexuality is not overtly talked about,
Yeah.
but is an important theme in terms of how he interacts with other people and other people interact with him. No?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought it up. The story is
I had to bring it up.
No, I appreciate it. The story is, it's an aspirational story of following your dreams, following Nate's dreams. And I consider sort of Nate's sexuality, he's 13, he's just about to turn 14. And it's sort of the C or maybe even the D story. Nate is far more interested in donuts and musicals than he is in other boys. But he's 13 and he's starting to have that dawning awareness. And so I didn't want to hit it with a hammer. I wanted to just kind of drop it in there lightly because I'm gay And I felt like I would have really benefited from reading a story when I was a teenager, even a little bit younger, that showed a character who was questioning and thinking about his sexuality, but not in an obsessive way and not in a guilty or sort of, suicidal way. And that felt important to me. There's so many stories out there. We see it every single day, Steve. We see these stories of kids who get to the end of the line. And so I wanted to tell a different story of a kid who's going on a different path, where even though his community doesn't understand him, nor his parents, he's going to find a way to have a great life. And that's just one of those pieces.
I'm wondering how challenging it must have been to try to write a story that's entertaining. Yeah, there's an audience for it, a mass, if you will, audience, but at the same time, feel this responsibility to try to weave in, without the hammer, that piece of it. How hard?
I was very lucky. I wrote the book with a great amount of ignorance. I had not done, purposefully, I kept myself away from the odds. The odds of getting published are actually pretty small. So had I done all that research, I think I would have talked myself out of it. When my agent found a home at Simon & Schuster, I found this great editor named David Gale, who one of his legacies, among many legacies, is he's published certain books that have really broken some molds in terms of sexuality.
Sure.
And so he and the entire staff at Simon & Schuster Books for Young Readers was incredibly embracing of this idea that, it's a novel, so it's like it's a sit-down book, but every 25 pages, there's a little reference that says, oh, he's thinking about this. And they didn't ask me to edit any of that out. They just got it.
The ages, because we have a boy who's 10.
Yeah.
Another boy who's 8. Give me the
Good luck.
ages. Yeah, right. It's a losing battle already.
Yeah.
Question. Who is the book for? And is it right for them?
Yeah. Well, the marketing answers, the book is for 9 to 14-year-olds who love Glee and love Pitch Perfect and have big starry.
What's the real answer?
I think the real answer is it's for kids and adults who have aspirational dreams, or I'm getting actually a surprising number of emails from parents and teachers who have read the book before they show it to their kids, and they say, oh my gosh, I really laughed at this because it reminded me of why I came to New York or why I love musicals. I think the book is a mature choice for 9-year-olds, but I think it's aimed squarely at 10, 11, 12, and 13-year-olds.
I'm just thinking, because our 10-year-old son, Nick, sings in the chorus, loves to perform, and I'm thinking to myself, how would he handle the parts about it that make reference to without the hammer?
Right.
I just don't know. I'm curious.
No, it's a good question.
And I haven't read it, so we'll find out.
I've heard from enough girls and kind of like macho boys who say, I got such a kick out of it. And I think it's because it's threaded, and that was actually purposeful to me, to remind people.
Before I let you out of here, do you mind if I ask you to talk about your sequel?
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, Nate?
Yes.
Go.
5, 6, 7, Nate explores the further adventures of Nate Foster on his way to E.T., the Broadway musical, and it comes out next January 2014 from Simon & Schuster.
You're a full-time writer these days?
I am, yeah, because I've got a cocktail book called Tequila Mockingbird coming out next month.
It is called what?
Literary cocktails. Tequila Mockingbird cocktails with a literary twist, including The Last of the Mojitos and Are You There, God, It's Me, Margarita.
And perfect for 10-year-olds.
Yeah, no, it's for their parents. For any parent who has a kid who's singing at the top of his or her lungs, this is the book to read to drown out the singing.
I love it. The book is called Better Nate Than Ever. Tim Federle is the author. Listen, this is the first time you've joined us here at our WNET studio at the Tisch Center. I promise you'll come back.
I would love to. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you very much. All the
Pleasure.
best. I'm Steve Adubato. Stay with us. This is One-on-One. We'll be right back. Thank you very much.
Yes.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System. Funding has been provided by Barnabas Health, TD Bank, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, TSE&G, New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, Roche, the law firm of Gibbons PC, and by the New Jersey Education Association. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been made possible in part by New Jersey State Nurses Association.